All right, this is our next set of notes from our early Republic era, and we're going to be talking about Adams' presidency. John Adams is our second president, and we're going to be seeing all the key information that happened during his presidency. Now, first off, one of the things that happened is we have, right after Washington tells us not to do something with, as far as political parties go, we have political parties form. And we're going to look at the two major political parties we had. The first one are the Democratic Republicans. They had major supporters in Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. They wanted a very limited national government and a strict interpretation of the Constitution. That means that whatever the Constitution said, they made sure that it happened. If it didn't give the federal government certain powers, then they did not have those powers because they really believed in states' rights. They really wanted states' rights. All right. They opposed the national bank. Sorry, that's misspelled. And tariffs. Tariffs are those taxes on imported goods. And they have a very agrarian society, one that's based on farming. And that's what agrarian means, is farming. Now, the other group that we had were the Federalists, and they were supported by Alexander Hamilton and John Adams. They wanted a strong national government and a loose interpretation of the Constitution. Basically, if the Constitution gives semi-ability for us to say that it allowed you to do something, it was okay to go ahead and do it. They favored the national bank and they favored tariffs. And they wanted an industrial society based on manufacturing, shipping, and trading. Because a lot of these folks are going to be based in the Northeast, while these folks are going to be based in the South. And so we kind of see our beginnings of issues between North and South during this time. Now, the election results, what happens is that at the end of the day, the Democratic Republicans put up Thomas Jefferson, and he ran against John Adams. John Adams wins the race by winning 71 of the electoral votes, while Thomas Jefferson got 68. Due to a quirk in the Constitution, the person that had the second most votes in the election would become vice president. So it was a very, very, very touchy situation. People really didn't like it. So you could run on totally different parties, have totally different beliefs, and still be forced to work together. Now, under Adams' presidency, he has two major events that happened. The first one is the Xyz Affair, and the second one are the Alien and Sedition Acts. Now, the Xyz Affair, what's going to happen is we're having a lot of sailors that are with the merchant ships being impressed into the French and the British Navy. We were able to get the British to back off of this, but the French are going to continue the practice. And impressment means that they're going to force them into the Navy. And what's going to happen with the Xyz Affair is Adams is going to send 3 representatives to France to negotiate an end to those impressments. The ambassadors arrive in France, and they're greeted by 3 French representatives. We only know them as the words X, Y, and Z. They demanded that the American ambassadors pay a tribute or a bribe to meet with the French officials. The Americans are going to refuse the bribe and chose to return to America. War was almost declared, and George Washington was willing to come out of retirement to lead the army one more time. It was a very, very big issue. The big statement that happened there was millions in defense, not a cent for tribute, basically saying that America does not need to be controlled by other countries. Now, our reaction to this is we immediately passed a few different things called the Alien and Sedition Acts. These are 2 separate pieces of laws that we're going through and put into American government. So the Alien Acts made it more difficult for all immigrants to become a citizen and for immigrants to vote, but made it very easy for immigrants to be deported. Basically, if you just looked at somebody wrong, they were going to deport you. If you did something that the government was not happy about, they deported you. The Sedition Acts made it illegal for newspapers to write anything that was negative about the government, and the people that were found guilty of this crime were fined or jailed, and if they happened to be a foreign citizen, they were also deported. Now, we all know that this violates the First Amendment. Okay, and it ends up being thrown out. Due to those controversies, he was pretty much a failure as a president, and he's going to be refused to be reelected and loses to Thomas Jefferson in the next election.